Hi, welcome back to the Coins Studio. Imagine pulling out some loose change and finding a coin that collectors would pay hundreds, even thousands of dollars for. Among the ordinary 20-cent pieces in your pocket, certain years like 1969, 1981, 2010, and 2015 hold secrets most people don't know. In the next few minutes, I'll show you which ones to look out for, and why they can be worth far more than just 20 cents. Let's moving on. First up, the 1969 Australian 20-cent coin. A piece that carries with it far more than just its face value. At first glance, it might appear to be just another circulating coin. But numismatists and collectors know the story runs much deeper. This coin was minted at a time when Australia was only a few years into its decimal currency system, having transitioned from pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents. In 1966, the design is instantly recognizable, featuring the iconic platypus on the reverse, a symbol of Australia's unique wildlife, engraved by Stuart Devlin, the master designer behind many of the country's decimal coins. On the obverse, it carries the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, which was standard across Commonwealth coins of the period. Now, what makes the 1969 20-cent coin especially intriguing to collectors are the errors and minting anomalies that have been discovered over time. Some pieces are known to feature off-center strikes, partial collar errors, and even die cracks that can make them dramatically more valuable than ordinary examples. But the most famous variety from this year is the rare upset die error, in which the alignment between the obverse and reverse is rotated, creating a highly unusual misalignment that collectors love to hunt for. In circulated condition, a standard 1969 20-cent coin might only fetch a small premium over face value, perhaps a few dollars, but in uncirculated mint state, things change dramatically. A pristine example with sharp details, no wear, and full mint luster can command hundreds of dollars at auction, with high-grade rarities once reaching a market value of around 42,000 Australian dollars. For exceptional error specimens, that one-time high auction record has solidified this coin's reputation as one worth paying close attention to if you happen to come across one in your pocket change or inherited collection. The beauty of the 1969 Australian 20-cent coin is that it demonstrates how even a circulating coin, minted in large numbers, can hide rare and valuable surprises. When errors or high-grade preservation come into play, collectors worldwide still keep an eye out for this date, knowing that condition and minting quirks can transform an ordinary coin into a standout prize. Next up, the 1981 Australian 20-cent coin. A fascinating issue not just for its design but also for its history of production. By 1981, Australia's minting system was under pressure to meet high demand for circulating coins. To help relieve the strain, the Royal Australian Mint outsourced production to other mints overseas, including the Royal Mint in London, the Royal Canadian Mint, and the Royal Mint in Wales. This means the 1981 20-cent coin exists in multiple variations, depending on where it was struck. Each mint had subtle differences in dies, edges, and striking techniques, and collectors have spent decades carefully cataloging these distinctions. The reverse still showcases Stuart Devlin's stunning platypus design, with a sense of movement that gives life to the water splashes surrounding the animal. On the obverse, Queen Elizabeth II's effigy remained the Arnold Machin portrait, continuing the tradition that had started in 1966. Now, while most of the 1981 20-cent coins are common and can still be found in circulation today, the real treasures lie in the rarer varieties and high-grade survivors. Some coins minted in Canada display noticeably different rim thicknesses and crisper details, and these subtle differences can add substantial value to a collector's set. More importantly, certain 1981 coins have been found with major striking errors, off-center strikes, double strikes, and partial planchet errors that have sold for eye-watering sums at auctions. A regular circulated coin from 1981 will rarely fetch more than its face value. Perhaps $1 or $2 if lightly circulated. But a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially one from an overseas mint with a recognized variety, can be worth significantly more. The true highlight of this issue is a famous error. Coin known as the 1981 Canadian Strike variation in gem condition, which once sold for a staggering $22,500 AUD at a specialist auction. That single high-grade market value record has cemented the 1981 20-cent coin's place among Australia's most fascinating decimal rarities. What's so engaging about this year's issue is that it represents a global collaboration in coinage, with Australia's currency being struck across different continents, each mint leaving its subtle signature for keen-eyed collectors to discover. This is the kind of coin that can turn a simple pocket find into an exciting piece of numismatic history, especially if you happen to come across one in near-perfect condition or bearing a rare mint error. Next up, the 2010 Australian 20-cent coin. A piece that on the surface may seem fairly modern and common, yet it carries a fascinating backstory that has made it an object of great interest for collectors. By 2010, the 20-cent coin had already been in circulation for over 4 decades, remaining one of the most recognizable denominations in Australia's decimal currency system. The reverse retained Stuart Devlin's legendary platypus design, one of the most enduring and beloved motifs in Australian coinage, with its sense of motion and splashing water that still feels alive today. On the obverse, however, a change had been implemented. A few years earlier, the Ian Rank Broadley portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This effigy, introduced in 1999, is known for its more realistic and mature depiction of the Queen, replacing the earlier Raphael Maklauf portrait that had dominated the 1980s and 1990s. What makes the 2010 20-cent coin stand out is not necessarily its standard circulation issue but the range of special mint, set releases, proof strikes, and error coins that have since captured collector attention. The Royal Australian Mint in Canberra produced a relatively limited mintage for circulation in 2010, compared to some earlier years, and this has given the coin a slightly scarcer edge in higher grades. In everyday circulated condition, a 2010 20-cent coin may only be worth face value, but in mint state condition with full original luster, it can reach prices of $200 to $400 Australian dollars, sometimes more if graded by PCGS or NGC. The real intrigue lies in error coins from this year. A handful of 2010 coins have been found with die cracks, misstrikes, and even partial planchet clips, all of which can send the value soaring. In one notable case, a rare off-center strike from 2010 sold for a one-time high-grade market value of $15,000 Australian dollars at auction, far exceeding expectations for such a modern decimal coin. For collectors of Australian decimal currency, this issue proves that even relatively recent coins can hold significant surprises, especially in high-grade condition or with unique minting flaws. It is a reminder that every pocketful of change might carry something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. Next up, the 2015 Australian 20-cent coin. A coin that represents both continuity and modernity in Australia's decimal coinage. The 20-cent piece remained a vital part of everyday commerce. But by 2015, the coin was also a symbol of how Australian coinage had evolved in design, production quality, and collector appeal. Once again, Stuart Devlin's iconic platypus design graced the reverse, a design that by now had become a cultural symbol in itself, embodying the uniqueness of Australian wildlife. The obverse continued with Ian Rank Broadley's portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was still in use, though only a few years away from being replaced by Jody Clark's effigy in 2019. The 2015 coin is especially notable because it was produced in a period of declining overall demand for circulating coins, as Australia increasingly moved toward electronic payments and reduced the need for high mintages. This lower demand meant fewer coins were struck, particularly for circulation, and as a result, uncirculated specimens from 2015 are somewhat harder to come by compared to the massive mintages of earlier decades. Standard circulated examples may not hold any premium, typically trading for face value. But as with all modern decimals, the real value lies in pristine mint state coins and special issues. The Royal Australian Mint released 2015 proof and uncirculated sets featuring the 20-cent coin, and these sets remain highly desirable among collectors today. Errors again play a fascinating role for this year. Known varieties include double strikes, weak strikes, and planchet errors, each of which can drastically raise a coin's market value. While most 2015 circulation coins are easily obtainable, one particularly stunning proof strike with flawless surfaces and deep cameo contrast achieved a one-time high-grade market value of 7,500 Australian dollars, proving that collectors are willing to pay top prices for perfection, even in relatively recent coins. The 2015 Australian 20-cent coin is a perfect example of how modern coinage blends tradition with scarcity in certain contexts, rewarding those collectors who pay attention to detail. For everyday Australians, it's just a piece of change, but for numismatists, it's a reminder that even in the 21st century, the 20-cent coin continues to produce remarkable highlights for serious collections. And that wraps up our deep dive into these fascinating Australian 20-cent coins. Each one tells its own unique story, from rare errors and minting quirks to high-grade treasures that have shocked collectors at auction. If you enjoyed this journey through history and value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow for more incredible stories about rare and valuable coins.